The silence of the Judean hills was absolute until the sky tore open. A light, sharper than the midday sun, slammed into the darkness, turning the rocky slopes into a landscape of stark, impossible shadows. The shepherds dropped their wooden staffs. The clatter was swallowed by a soundless, vibrating pressure that pushed against their chests. They fell back, hands pressed hard against their eyes, but the brilliance bled through their fingers. This was no trick of the stars. The air itself began to hum, thickening with a heat that smelled of ozone and ancient stone. Then, the radiance coalesced. A figure materialized in the center of the clearing, hovering inches above the uneven ground. The shepherds scrambled backward, boots sliding on loose gravel, breath hitching in their throats as they braced for the unknown. The figure did not move, yet the presence was undeniable, a weight that demanded total attention. The angel spoke, the voice cutting through the ringing in their ears. "Do not be afraid, for I bring you good news." The message hung in the air, a bridge cast between the infinite and the finite. Years later, the scene shifted to the banks of the Tigris River. Daniel stood alone, his gaze fixed on the dark, rushing water. The air here felt different, heavy, with a static charge that made the hair on his arms stand up. He was not merely observing the river. He was sensing a rupture in the fabric of the world, a pressure mounted against his temples, a suffocating weight that signaled a conflict far beyond human sight. He gripped his staff, knuckles white, as the atmosphere groaned under the strain of an unseen collision. This was no gentle visitation. It was the front line of a cosmic war. He felt the ripple of a struggle that defied time, a clash of wills that tore at the silence of the night. Then, the tension snapped. An angel appeared, not as a soft whisper, but as a force that demanded space. The messenger stood tall, eyes reflecting a battle-hardened intensity. He spoke of a fierce struggle against spiritual opposition that had delayed his arrival, a delay that had rippled through the history of nations. Daniel watched as the truth settled in. These beings were not passive observers. They were warriors, locked in a reality-defining fight. The focus pulls back from the river, ascending through the layers of the unseen until the air itself changes. It is no longer the heavy, stagnant pressure of a battlefield, but a vast, vibrating expanse. This is the throne room of heaven. Here, the scale of existence shifts. The space is filled with a sound that defies human measurement, a constant, rhythmic thunder that rolls through the foundations of reality. It is the sound of praise, a cycle that never pauses, never falters, and never wanes. Isaiah stood in the center of this vision, his senses overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of the movement. Thousands of voices, distinct yet unified, echo in a resonance that shakes the very air. They are not individuals seeking recognition. They are a singular, focused force. They move in perfect synchronization, their wings beating with a sound like rushing water. Every movement is a deliberate act of service. They do not look to themselves, nor do they pause to consider their own stature. Their loyalty is absolute, a constant stream of devotion directed toward the Creator. In this place, the angels exist as conduits of a singular will, their voices blending into a roar that sustains the order of the cosmos. The vision shifts from the throne room to a moment of profound human error. John the Apostle stood before the messenger, his senses reeling from the brilliance of the encounter. The sheer weight of the presence before him, the undeniable authority radiating from the figure, pushed John to his knees. He bowed his head, his hands pressed against the cold ground, prepared to offer the reverence he felt was owed to such a being. He saw the messenger not as a peer, but as a god. The reaction was instantaneous. The angel stepped back, his movement sharp and decisive, breaking the stillness of the moment. He reached out, not to accept the gesture, but to halt it. "Do not do that!" The voice cut through the air, firm and absolute. It was a command that stripped away any confusion. The messenger stood tall, his posture rigid, refusing the honor John sought to bestow. He pointed upward, his eyes fixed on a horizon beyond the physical realm. Worship God alone. In that single searing correction, the nature of the celestial order was laid bare. They were mirrors, reflecting a brilliance that did not belong to them. John watched as the messenger remained standing, a servant who knew his place with perfect clarity. Beyond the grand scale of prophecy, their work descends into the quiet corners of individual lives. They are ministering spirits, sent to guard those who seek salvation. A traveler turns away from a hidden cliff edge, unaware of the unseen hand that nudged his path. A decision shifts in the stillness of a dream, altering the trajectory of a life. They rejoice in the silent moment when a single soul turns back to the divine. They watch human history as diligent students of grace, witnessing every struggle and every spark of wisdom. From the archangel standing as a guardian to the unnamed messengers delivering warnings in the dark, every movement serves an ordained purpose. They are the hands of Providence, weaving through the world to ensure the fulfillment of a greater plan. This existence proves a universe far more active and intentional than the naked eye perceives. They remain faithful servants,